Previously on Real Talk TV. To redirect your outrage.
And then no one ever crossed that bar but her. So she claimed the role for herself.
They are everyone, and they are no one.
Spills into history, religion, and so much more.
You know that ain't gonna let a have nothing.
Many cosplayers catch hell too. Welcome back to Alexlartwork Studios. Alright, this therapy segment is going to end up being a bit too long for this video, and I need to stay on topic. So we're going to cut it here and most likely post the uncut version over on Patreon. The overall point of this segment is to ask the question why. Anyway, let's get back to the original blackwashing video.
I win! They lose! That's how the world works! They get ruled by people like me! My ancestors enslaved those pieces of We're gonna win. I rule the world! Those pieces of get ruled by people like me!
We're currently on my final thoughts, key point number 2. And I'm covering the issue I have with Ariel's blackwashing, America's reactions, to be more specific. Again, I'm cool with this. Boycott, ignore, thumbs down, and go about your day. But this type of needs to stop. It's definitely about time we discuss some rules of engagement. Black America Code of Conduct. Number 1. Zero tolerance for bigotry, hate, or any form of anti-black f***ery.
Oh, come on. Tolerate it. You've been putting up with it for so long.
Stand for nothing. You'll fall for anything.
D-color.
I feel a rant coming on. I don't know what's more unsettling. These racist motherfuckers being so loose-lipped when it comes to talking to our girls, or these Hollywood directors having the ability to indirectly put targets on our girls' backs. Because I don't think these casting directors and producers are out here trying to reason with their bigoted brothers and sisters. I'll make this next rant be my third and final point. I've got a few things to get off my chest. Let's get it. Complete separation will always be my go-to when it comes to any type of solutions. Boycott any forms of media your community doesn't own and control, and expect Babylon's media engine to be weaponized against any kind of Black American empowerment. Know thy enemy as well as their agenda, and act accordingly. White supremacy rewards Black dysfunction, so it is vital to support independent Black-owned media. It is imperative that we support entertainment that shows us in a light that encourages and reinforces FBA virtues and values. All of that thug and thought slave-catcher music isn't doing us any favors. It is completely weaponized for our demise. This is what your music looks like when America owns and controls mainstream broadcasts. White supremacy has not only took part in Black America's impoverished conditions, but they've also managed to turn those circumstances into a renewable source of income by reinforcing the toxic behavior that comes from living in that environment. What do you think happens to a race of people after 400 years of oppression? In other words, how did we get here? Well, you have to know the past to understand the present. Let's take a quick second to review a few historical receipts. America redlining Black communities into certain areas, turning them into ghettos. The murdering of our Black leaders via COINTELPRO. Nixon's war on drugs targeting Black men. The Iran-Contra affair, which dumped crack into Black communities. Mass incarceration, Planned Parenthood, government assistance, which deconstructed the nuclear family. So, the answer to the question is, short answer, nothing good.
Okay, so now let's do the math. Hundreds of years of trauma, no treatment. Freed, more trauma, no treatment. What do you do the math? Do you think there may be residual impacts of that trauma? Of course there is. It didn't end, friends. and it hasn't ended yet. So I think on one point, African people and people of African descent are extremely resilient. Matter of fact, I think we're a miracle.
We are still alive.
Far be it for us to pathologize or to look and cast this idea of weak and sick people. Oh, on the contrary, I'm profoundly resilient because we've done everything we've done thus far with no help, with not even the ability to have this discussion. As though it were possible we escaped injury in all those hundreds of years.
It's time to rise, rebuild, and restore.
By any means necessary.
But what I'm tripping on is, these white-owned broadcasts are playing by the same old anti-black handbook their forefathers played by. What type of messages are these platforms promoting to the masses? Do you think they have Black America's best interests at heart with their artist selections? Of course not. Instead of using their platforms to encourage positive values in Black America, they are doing something much worse. They would rather reinforce and encourage the toxic conditions plaguing Black America by paying one of us to poison the minds of the masses.
I'ma fuck your bitch. I'ma kill this nigga. 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 That's the real anti-Semitic shit that the Jewish people get paid off of.
I don't know what's this opioid thing, man.
But being a crackhead wasn't cool back then. Being a crackhead wasn't cool. Now they seem like they're making it cool to be drinking lean and syrup and
it's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
Because I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention.
You're a piece of shit.
She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent. But I have to. I can't give up on people.
Yeah, okay, pal.
Don't you think that's hypocritical, though?
Hypocrisy.
You're saying
it's opportunistic.
Yeah.
I got people to feed.
What did you say?
Yeah, I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
Racist motherfucker.
What did it cost?
Judy, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate that more than 92,000 Americans died of overdoses in the 12 months ending last November. It is the highest number ever recorded and a 30% jump over the prior year. Now, the CDC data is not broken down by race, but researchers at the University of California found the largest increase in overdose deaths was in African Americans, a 50% jump from 2019. In Missouri alone, Black men are now 4 times more likely than a white person to die of an overdose.
She told me that with great power comes great responsibility.
But we do have black people that get on the radio every day in white-owned companies, white-owned stations with white-owned sponsors that play the role of hypersexualized, hypercriminalized male. I ask these advertisers, I say, I've got hundreds of songs a day that celebrate killing animals. Will you put them on your station? They said, no. I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about assaulting women and abusing kids. Would you put them on your station? They said, no. I said, I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about murdering blacks. Would you put them on your stations? They said, well, that depends. Depends on what? Who it's done by and who it's branded for. Because if we can get black folks to sing about it and we can brand it for our youngest black audiences, I think there's money to be made. I think there's American appetites to see these people that way. I said, how can you say that? They said, well, look, it's what these artists know. It's what they, black people, create. It's, matter of fact, our surveys say it's what they want to hear, which speaks of a sickness. How do we live in a society where somebody says, you know what, I'm inspired to write a song that celebrates murdering another person. And then a person says, I'd like to put that on my station. Another person said, I'd like to pay for it. And then there's people out here in the audience that go, I'd love to hear it, as long as it's black guys. Because even white people buy rap music, buy this type of stuff, because we know that when we want to hear about killing each other, we know who to turn to for that type of inspiration. I always ask the companies, what about your name? What about your brand? What about your value? And the largest radio company in the world said this, it's okay that we only have drug dealers on our black youth stations. We only have murders on our black youth stations. We support black charities. We give out water at the Martin Luther King parade. I think we've got it covered. We've bought them off.
Bruh.
You know, there's certain stuff you can't buy at the store. Certain stuff you can't get on iTunes because their brand doesn't want it. But if you want to hear black people celebrating killing black people, they got thousands and thousands and thousands of those things to sell you. I don't think it's about censorship. I think it's about American cultural hypocrisy.
Because it's all part of the plan.
I'ma kill this. The city of brotherly love now facing a nearly 12% increase in homicides from January 1st to late November. Homicide rates in Philadelphia continue to grow. This mural actually has the names of those killed or injured by gun violence over the years in the city. Most of those people are black. Specifically, 83% of those shot in Philly are black. Black people making up nearly 82% of fatalities.
I got people to feed.
Nobody panics.
I got a business to run.
Then everyone loses their minds.
A community. You know, parents always tell me, I didn't raise my daughter to talk like that. I didn't raise my son. No, but the music did. Right. You know, the music has more influence over our children than the family does, the church, and the school. And I think there needs to be a Take Back the Music campaign where we redirect our children's energy away from the mainstream negative messages to something that's positive.
This manipulation spills into Hollywood also. White supremacy has no shame, no honor, and will use any excuse to promote black death on the radio and on screen. Enough is enough. I'm done with the white supremacy trauma films, and I'm done with the slave movies. You don't get to cause pain and suffering to a race of people and then turn that hardship into a theatric spectacle for your entertainment and profit. Orion Pictures,
F you!
You are boycotted for life. For those who are FBA and are taking part in this story, get on code. I'm a bit passionate about this because, well, nothing's changed. And as an artist/animator, I know how powerful media imagery is and its influence on the mind. That being said, George Stinney Jr., a 14-year-old boy, was falsely accused of murdering 2 white girls. On June 16, 1944, Stinney became the youngest black American to be executed by the electric chair. 70 years later, in 2014, he was exonerated of all charges. I found 3 films, 1 YouTube manga, and 1 music video of Stinney's story, all of which seem very eager to put that boy in a chair to electrocute him. Is this art? Are we honoring the dead by reimagining how his life was taken? Do you think the family wants to experience this trauma again? If Stinney or Emmett was your child, would you want a movie made about him? I doubt the inspiration for these directors to make these films are based on the subject's life. In my opinion, it's more so based on the protagonist's gruesome death, or, as we see in Till, how a relative overcame the subject's gruesome death.
Let me show you how I overcame.
No, thank you, I'm fine.
Personally, I take issue with immortalizing our suffering on the big screen. So let me get this right. So black folks not only have to deal with this racist in reality, but we have to see it in theaters also? I'm missing the benefit here. I thought going to the movies was supposed to be a temporary escape from the norm. I stand by my convictions. White supremacy trauma films and slave movies also need to go. For good. I'm currently studying how trauma impacts the brain, and it doesn't look good. It increases stress hormones and can ultimately alter how our very brains and bodies function. I encourage you to look into it. Let me stop beating around the bush. Black America is...
What is the Matrix? Control.
What narratives are we exposing ourselves to? And how does it manifest in our subconscious mind? Hollywood's been producing these films since I was born, and America hasn't moved an inch towards any type of racial harmony or black economic reformation. Do these types of movies inspire black America to fight this oppressive system, or be complicit in it? Point is, I know my enemy. I know some of these motherfuckers get off on seeing black folks suffer. On the big screen, black trauma is always coupled with white dominance. What type of influence do you think this has on these bigots? My guess, it reinforces and possibly justifies whatever racial animosity and hate they have for black folks. That's their escape from the norm. A power fantasy they can't act on, but can rewatch over and over. Oh, trust and believe, these white men will pay good money to produce this type of content. But when it comes to therapy, reparations, or content that simply empowers black folks without any nothing. It's the same pathology we see in the rap industry. Profit for them, trauma for us. American society runs on anti-blackness. and I will fight in any and all areas to change it. It's time for a change. Let's get it.
Free your mind.
That's all for now. Lastly, don't be mad at Holly for qualifying for the job. In this case, your problem is...
Jesus cost to your strength. Victory has defeated you.
Destroy the Sith. We must.
Webcomics, memes, and the journey to produce our very own animations. If you enjoy our content and would like to see us continue to grow in this space, come support us over on Patreon. Link is in the description.
If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content and want to see more, there's many ways to support the channel. Check out the online store, check out the comic books, or you can make a donation or become a patron. Thanks for watching.